The Star on His Heart. Act 1. The Miracle. When the sickness came to Blackdown, it spared no one. Smallpox took hold quietly, slipping from home to home, devouring the very young and the very old. By the time the villagers realized what was happening, it was already too late. 3 in 5 caught it. Half of those died. Among the stricken were the 4 Blackwood brothers, Alric, Thomas, Merrin, and the youngest, Ewen, just 6 years old. The pest house at the edge of Blackdown was little more than a shadowed prison where the sick were sent to die. Darkness and fever filled its walls, and though Alric tried to comfort his brothers with stories, he was the first to succumb. Thomas went next, quietly fading away. Merrin lingered longest, fighting bravely until he too left Ewen alone in the dark. When word reached their parents, Bryden and Aelith, that Ewen was the last living son, desperation overtook them. Aelith tried to storm the pest house, begging and screaming, but was turned away. Bryden, unable to watch his family vanish entirely, rode through the night to the monastery of Silphira, where he fell before the abbot, pleading for his son's life. "Death is part of life," the abbot said gravely. But Bryden would not relent, offering everything he owned, everything he was, until the abbot finally agreed. "Thou shalt owe me a debt most solemn," the abbot warned, "to be repaid when Providence wills. Silphira is my witness and redeemer." They returned to Blackdown, the abbot striding silently into the pest house. There, at Ewen's bedside, he knelt and began to pray. Witnesses later swore the abbot glowed with a hot light, burning with a radiance too bright to look upon. For hours he prayed, his life's energy seeming to flow into the small, fevered boy. When the glow faded, the abbot slumped forward, his life light burnt out. Ewen opened his eyes, whole, healthy, without a mark, save one, a vivid red pattern resembling a star, hot and red over his heart. Ewen walked from the pest house into his father's arms, untouched by disease or harm from that day forward. But in that miracle, something else was born. A debt. A curse. Act 2. The curse. Ewen soon realized he was different. Illnesses passed him over. Injuries never touched him. He grew strong, his body protected by some unseen power. Yet, around him, misfortune seemed to gather. Accidents and sickness befell neighbors and relatives alike, but never touched him. People whispered about the boy with the star on his chest, that his good fortune drained luck from everyone around him. His cousins began avoiding him, frightened by the quiet disasters that trailed him. But 2 cousins, Damien and Ego, did not pull away. Instead, they stood closer, becoming his loyal companions. What Ewen didn't know was the secret burden they carried. Ego's father, the eldest Blackwood, had spoken privately with his son. "You and Damien must watch over Ewen," he'd explained gravely. "It is a debt the family owes. Tell no one, not even Ewen himself. He must believe you care for him." Thus began Ego's quiet guardianship, with Damien in tow. At first, their friendship was tinged with obligation, a duty they did not fully understand. Yet over time, their bond grew genuine. They explored Blackdown's woods together, stood together against village whispers, and shielded Ewen from isolation with their steadfast companionship. Still, Ewen sensed something hidden in their closeness. He saw the way they exchanged glances, the quiet seriousness beneath their laughter. He sometimes wondered if their friendship was real or merely another piece of what held him here, protecting him from further harm. Act 3. The Debt. 2 years passed. Then one cold night, the knock came at the Blackwood family's door. 2 Silphiran brothers stood in the darkness, between them a small boy, barely 4, with a gaze older than his years. "The debt is due," one brother said simply. Bryden and Aelith understood immediately. They took the boy in, naming him George, claiming him as the son of distant Blackwood cousins, forbidden lovers who had eloped years before. The villagers doubted the story, but they also understood the solemnity of the debt they owed. No one questioned the story. Debts were paid in Blackdown, and the Blackwoods were the village's foundation. Ewen woke abruptly the night George was delivered, gasping in pain. The red mark on his chest burned fiercely, a radiant heat flaring like white-hot embers. He clutched at it, breathing harshly, as if recognizing something he'd always known but never understood. In that moment, he felt a profound connection to the silent boy who had a bed made up in his room. Damien and Ego saw the two of them at breakfast table the next day. Without speaking, they understood something had changed, something irreversible. The following days brought a new reality. Ewen discovered his immunity was no longer just his. It was connected to and magnified by George, bonded to this strange, silent child who would not speak a word for the next 2 years and did not seem to remember a day before he arrived. Ewen knew instinctively that George's life was now part of his own. The protection he carried was theirs to share, a burden and a gift intertwined. It weakened him emotionally, yet reinforced his need to protect George at all costs. Damien and Ego sensed the shift as well. Their secret charge expanded to include George, and together the four boys formed a quiet, inseparable knot, bound by duty, fate, and friendship. Yet Ewen could never fully shake the weight of guilt. He knew he lived a life not entirely his own, a life bought at great cost. He never spoke of it, not even to Damien and Ego, though he suspected they understood more than they let on. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the edge of Blackdown, Ego broke the silence. "Whatever debts we owe," he said quietly, "we owe together." Damien nodded solemnly. "We stand by each other, always." Ewen met their eyes, feeling a rare warmth within. "Always," he echoed softly, glancing down at young George, whose hand rested trustingly in his own. The red scar on Ewen's chest burned faintly beneath his shirt, a reminder of the past and a promise, however uncertain, of the future.